What I'm trying to get at is, at the end of the day, ball is ball. Doesn't really matter what you look like, where you came from, anything like that. It's just when you're in between those lines, what does your tape say? At the end of the day, how productive are you?
Welcome to Athlete Country Club, the podcast built for parents, athletes, and competitors chasing the next level. I'm your host, Marcus McMarion, former Division I quarterback, now founder of Athlete Country Club. I started this show because, like many of you, I had to learn the recruiting process the hard way, traveling up and down the state, spending thousands trying to figure out what actually works. Each week, we break it down through two powerful segments. First, Coach Talk. This is where we sit down with college coaches, director of player personnel, recruiters to uncover exactly what they look for when offering scholarships. No fluff, just the truth from people making the decisions. Second, Athlete CEO. Here we go beyond the field, into habits, training, and mindset that build elite performance and long-term success. You'll hear from strength coaches, nutritionists, sports psychologists, and former athletes who've turned their grind into greatness in business, leadership, and life. Because being an athlete isn't just about playing the game, it's about mastering it and building your legacy beyond it. So whether you're a parent trying to navigate recruiting or an athlete ready to level up, you're in the right place. Welcome to Athlete Country Club, where we turn potential into performance and performance into purpose. What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Marcus McMarion. Welcome to Athlete Country Club. Today's guest is Mitch Singler, a football coach who worked at every level of the game, from Oregon State to Duke to the Las Vegas Raiders in the NFL, and most recently at UNLV. Mitch has lived inside the player development and recruiting pipeline. Our relationship goes back to his time at Oregon State, where he served as quality control coach, grinding behind the scenes, learning the craft, and developing players. This episode's all about recruiting, development, pulling back the curtain on what really separates players, especially for parents and athletes trying to navigate this process. Mitch, welcome to Athlete Country Club, brother.
Bro, thank you for having me, man. I'm super excited. Love what you do and love that we get to help out players. So I'm very, very excited to be here, man, and see if whatever we can do to help spread the word, help, make an impact on anybody. Let's freaking do it, man. I'm excited to be here.
No, I'm pumped. And honestly, I've been excited about this podcast. I mean, since we started DMing about it, I think I texted you like right during fall camp, and I'm like, man, he's going to be so busy, he's not even going to respond to me. And then you replied, and I was like, oh, cool. And it kind of got me fired up because we're going back and forth around recruiting just real quick. I mean, like no fluff, just like real perspective. And I know like from like your perspective and like your side of things, I mean, what do you think, like just recruiting is still so misunderstood by parents, and why?
Yeah, no, it definitely is, man. And especially as the years go on and the landscape always changes, I think the genuineness of what you and I experienced and what we used to go through in terms of relationship building and all that sort of stuff might fade away. But, you know, the person of who I am and everyone I come in contact with, that's always at the forefront of everything. Everything that I want to be a part of is all about the relationship world. It's about getting to know you, the player getting to know the coach, us getting to know your parents, the ones that are closest to you that have an impact, and everyone that affects their lives. And that's to the core of really what I learned as recruiting was. And that's really what it kind of like entails. And so everything I've learned from my dad and everyone I've been a part of, it's just like, how good are your relationships? How good are you communicating and building trust within you to make it a commitment to a school for 4 years? You know, at the end of the day, that's what it's got to be about. You got to be able to trust me. I got to be able to trust you. And you want to pick a school that's going to ultimately get you to the right spot in terms of success on and off the field. You know, I've always believed that you should always pick a school that's going to help you succeed in life, whether that's you think that's going to be the NFL or that's going to get you the best degree, to get you the best job, to help provide for your future family. So I've always been the type of guy that's going to be honest and always there for you to make sure that you have every information possible and you have everything you need. So when a kid's going to make that life choice to be like, okay, I'm going to say my alma mater, Oregon State, and I know that Oregon State's going to help me succeed for, football, life after football, and I know if that for the next 4 years, that's going to be it. And I made the right choice, and I could go to sleep at night knowing that that's the spot. But yeah, it's an interesting world out there, man. And it's all about just, to me, relationships and communication, dude. Like at the forefront of it all, that's where it lives in. So if that kind of answered your question in a little bit. So
No, for sure. I know we were kind of going back and forth via text, and I kind of sent like a general kind of uh, overview of what I want the podcast to be when I first reached out to you. Like, hey, it's about kind
yeah,
of cutting through the noise and just getting more to the signal and what actually is going to get a kid recruited and what parents really should be doing.
yeah,
And that kind of stemmed from like my own personal story. No one in my family had played college football. We spent thousands of dollars doing these camps and this and that. And you kind of look back and you're like, well, if I would have just X'd that out and went straight to this or straight to that, like I would have probably been better off, you know? So kind of getting that understanding a little bit. And I know I was talking about in our initial message saying that I said just generally camps aren't going to get kids recruited. And then you kind of rebutted and you're like, well, no, the right kind of camps are going to get kids recruited. Kind
yeah.
of talk about that. Like what kind of camps should parents be attending?
Yeah, I thought the biggest thing for me, especially my recruitment process, was going to the camps that the universities provide. So I mean by that is like, say I'm here at UNLV, we have our prospect camps that are held at our campus and at our facility, to where the parents can get in front to get their kids in front of a college coach is the best option possible. And I always thought, and I still believe to this day, that if my son is going to go get recruited, I'm going to take him to all the schools that he wants to go to and that he did his homework on. And I'm going to go drive him there and take him there. And I'm going to go take him to UNLV's prospect camp. I want to do that because he's in front of those coaches. Those coaches are coaching him. There's no better eval, in my opinion, than I'm a tight end coach, and I get to sit there, not sit there. I get to put him through drills, and I get to put him through live workouts and see it with my own two eyes. I don't have to be at the huge mega camp where there's thousands of kids and there's like a few selected guys that a college coach will have to get their eyes on. You know what I'm saying? And that's the day and age of social media, is that like there's lots of ways to get your film out there for you to DM coaches and all that sort of stuff. But I've always believed to this day that when you go to when you want to get into the camp circuit, go to their prospect camp at their facility. Like that to me, I'll go on this for hours, but like that's the best way for a parent to like truly know like an eval from a coach.
Yeah.
Because you can just go straight up and ask a coach like right afterwards, like, hey, what'd you think of my son? And like, let's be honest here. Like you got to answer him point blank. Like, hey, I thought he was a good player. Like at the end of the day, I have one roster spot. Do I think he's a scholarship player? Yes, I do. But I also have a list of 10 other kids that are a part of like that list, and yeah, he's on it, but we'll see at the end of it like what the numbers are like. And I think that's the reality of the world, is like there's so much going on and there's a lot of players out there, but if you can get in front of a college coach, he can see you with his own two eyes and understand that like, hey, like I saw Marcus work out. I loved Marcus when he got off the football, did all my drills. I saw him, like his footwork was great. His hand placement was awesome. He caught the ball naturally, ran well, and I have that in-person eval, which, like in the NFL, that's the best form of eval that a person can get, is you see him live. You do what you want them to do because those are your drills, and obviously you put your own players through them. So it's like, okay, Marcus, you know, he's a lot better than Nate. He's a lot better than this guy. So I think he's a good fit for our room, and he's a good fit for our program.
Yeah, no, and I think you've said something that could like easily be passed over that I want you to kind of park on a little bit, is like you said, an athlete doing his homework before he goes to the camp. Like, what does doing your homework actually look like for a high school athlete?
Doing your homework, man, I think a lot goes into it, because obviously when you are getting into the college process, and you have a lot of schools hitting you up. I think it has to be a two-way street. Like, obviously, I'm going to talk to you about UNLV, and I'm going to talk to you about the school, what it all entails, what our position room looks like, what's our top majors, and all that sort of stuff that comes along the football side and the school side of it. But I also think that, like, you as a prospect have to do the same thing. Like, you got to do your research on, okay, so I know what the information the coach is telling me, but like when I look up like a roster, I'm like, okay, they got 4 tight ends. So like that tells me that they have 4 guys that are there. You kind of get a feel for who's a guy on scholarship, who's not. So it's like, okay, there's 3 guys on scholarship. Looks like 1 guy has a walk on. I go look at their stats. Okay, there's guys that have played, that have a lot of experience, receptions, yards, whatever it is. I can see kind of like what their status is in terms of playing experience and what they might be looking for. So like you as a prospect, I think you have to do your research on like the room itself, do research on the coaches. Like, okay, I could go look at the bio of the head coach, kind of see his background on things, like how he ended up here, the players that he's coached along that line, because a lot of us have aspirations to go to the NFL. Well, I can also do my research and see that, like, hey, like for instance, Coach Mullen here has put a lot of dudes in the NFL, has a lot of history of quarterback play, producing those type of guys. And then when he's been a head coach, you can see, oh man, there's Chris Jones at Mississippi State. There's Percy Harvin that he coached when he was offensive coordinator. And the list goes on and on and on about the type of guys that he's coached. So it's like, you as the player, I'm like, man, Marcus, you play quarterback. Well, he coached Tim Tebow. Shoot, I mean, there's nothing better than a Heisman Trophy guy. There you go. So it's like, you as a prospect, you can do that stuff on your own. Like, you don't have to have a phone call with a coach to be like, hey, tell me more. Well, if I really want to choose a school and choose it for the right reasons, I need to like do that sort of stuff. And if I want to go for football and for school, well, it's the same thing. Like, my dad went to Stanford. Well, I know why I'm getting into Stanford, but like there's all the stuff you can do homework wise that kind of tells you academically like how good a school is. So like, to me, I think it's like a little bit of a two-way street that when you as a coach are talking to a player, like, I'm going to give you feedback on why you should choose this school. But I also think that you should do the homework ahead of time that tells you, well, I want to choose this school because like I did this and I looked at like the history of every coach that is going to touch me and be a part of my life. And I know, I guess, school-wise, why I'm choosing it.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's really important. And I think kind of the cool thing about the podcast, I feel like, and I could talk to coaches that are actually live and in it and doing it every day, because they could give that kind of real perspective and real, like what you guys are looking for, and kind of, I feel like for me too, like a real scenario that just happened. So I was training quarterbacks for a little bit after I finished playing. I haven't done it for a while now, but one of the kids I trained, he's in high school now, and he's kind of got an interesting little situation with his high school coach where like they kind of put him in the rotation, they don't. It's kind of hit or miss, and he's kind of thinking about transferring now. So kind of the transfer portal is honestly trickled down from college to high school now to where it's like, hey, where can I go to get an immediate impact, better my chances of getting to the next level? And without being too long-winded on the situation, I kind of told the parent, hey, you kind of have option A where you could kind of stick it out. You may play, you may not play. The coach you kind of have an interesting relationship with already. Then I kind of offered him the perspective of option B. I said, hey, if you do leave, obviously this is a family decision you guys have to make. But what I would consider is if he does stay at the school he's at, and coaches do start to come recruit your kid, is that coach going to be a huge advocate for him? Because that could be, in my opinion, a quick way a coach could kill your recruiting process pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Or they could be a huge advocate. I don't think I go Division I if my high school coach wasn't just selling me to the moon. Like, he thought I was the greatest player every time coaches. When he coached me, he didn't tell me that.
For sure.
When college coaches came around, he was selling me and like telling me, hey, this guy's a work ethic, character guy, like kind of selling you, right? So, I
Yeah.
mean, just from the high school to athlete player relationship, like how important is the high school coach as a true advocate in the recruiting process?
Well, I lived it, man, because my dad's still a high school coach to this day. So he's been in it for over 40 years in terms of total coaching and over 20 in high school. So I lived it, man. A high school coach is, I would say, a big time involvement in a player's recruitment process. I say that because a lot of the times as coaches, we all typically speak the same language. And so when you have those conversations, you can ask, a coach like, hey, how's it, like, really, how is this kid? And when you're asking those sort of things, you're really trying to find out the intangibles of a player. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, man, like, your tape is going to speak for itself. And it's always referred to like your tape is your resume. So like a lot of the time, we're going to find kids that can play the game of football. And it's not hard to nowadays in this day and age because of everything that's available to us as coaches and for you as a recruit to get your tape to coaches. So it's like we're not going to miss players. And so when you're talking like from a coach to a high school coach, like you're looking for those little things that like make you stand apart than the guy next to you or to maybe another guy in conference that might be the same level in terms of playing ability. You know what I'm saying? Like I would like when you could speak to a coach, I think that's something really good for a coach to say is like Marcus is like the hardest working guy on our team. Marcus is the first one here. Marcus is the first guy to to really be in front of the drill and do all those sort of things. And like when you're able to get your high school coach to say those sort of things, I think that sets you apart than another kid. So like my dad, I mean, he helped me get my name out there to all the coaches that he knew. When all the college coaches came through recruiting wise to the school, he was a huge advocate to, telling the coach truthfully, like, hey, like, yeah, I know my son is on the team, but like also I can tell you this, my son's the hardest working guy on the team. And I'm like, I could stand on the table for him and say like, he'll be the hardest working guy for you. And I think a lot of the time those speak volumes. And for coaches in the coaching world, like it's a unique community. And so, like I said, we all speak the same language. We all understand the game of football, what we put into it, and how much work goes into it. That like I touched on earlier, that like when you start building relationships with your high school coach, and those high school coaches have relationships with college coaches that come through, because like I don't know, there's always guys coming through that like you start to develop trust, and you start to really filter like the guys that are telling you like an honest eval of a player and those sort of things. And, like at the end of the day, a college coach is going to use it or not. Like, and like I touched on earlier, I think it just helps set you apart when a high school coach is willing to stand on the table for you, and he can go out of his way to go talk to a coach and say, hey, I love Mitch. I love Marcus. Marcus is an excellent quarterback, and, this is why, ABC. And so I was fortunate enough to kind of see that from a day-to-day process with my dad. You just go down, eat lunch with him when we were on like a little lunch break, and you see all these college coaches coming through, and you just see the relationships that they have. He's walking through them on tape, like some things that like help, I don't know, myself stand apart than someone else, or like, I don't know, it's all those sort of things kind of go into play when it's about that.
Right. No, and I think the big thing too you talked about is just the accountability factor and trust level that the college coaches have with the high school coach, because I'm
Yep.
sure your dad, like him saying you're the hardest working player, that wasn't just because you were his son. It was like something he thoroughly, like deeply believed, and he was kind of
Yeah.
putting his own credibility on the line for you, and obviously that kind of sends on. I know that's probably a big thing, and even for me, I mean, I'm still fairly well connected in the college space with a lot of kids and or coaches, and I have kids and parents sending me stuff, and sometimes they're like, "Hey, can you get this in front of this coach?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't really think you're ready for me to get in front of that coach," you know.
No, for
And
real.
sometimes I have to be the bad guy and just kind of let them know, like, "Hey, like." If I was watching this film, I wouldn't be blown away to immediately put it in front of the coach right now, but maybe I could almost be the liaison at some times where I could say, "Hey, maybe you
Yeah.
should work on this a little bit or add this to your highlight tape or do this," and kind of doing that. But
See, that's the thing that like I think a lot of kids are missing out nowadays is like don't get stuck on being a one position guy unless if you do that one thing better than anybody in the country. Like when I was in the NFL, it was like, okay, yeah, I have your Fresno State guy, 1-7. I got Devontae Adams. Like he's a dog. And Devontae's gonna, he's gonna be the X and he's gonna be the guy to win one on one. Anytime you want to call a route or a play, Tay's going to get open. So, and then like everyone else ain't like Tay. So it's like, how are you going to separate yourself to one, stay a part of the NFL, or two, have an NFL coach get you like a certain play? You know what I'm saying? So like that versatility, that willingness to have played multiple positions, know the game inside and out. So like I can play you at all three spots at receiver. I'm not afraid to play you all 5 spots in the offensive line, which includes center. Like you got to be able to, I don't know, be different than anyone else. Like that. Like at the end of the day, like yeah, I want to excel at the one thing that I want to do well, but also at the same time, don't be naive to the fact that like, hey, like I'm a receiver. Well, I got to get involved in special teams. I got to make sure that like I'm on punt, kickoff return, punt return, if I'm the returner, or I'm part of this scheme where I'm like on the front line, if I'm running down, whatever it is, I'm a part of the phase. Like I have to be willing to make that sacrifice to be a part of, the betterment of the team and to put myself in position to have the coach play me. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think a lot of the kids are mistaken that it's like, hey, I'm just a receiver, man. Like that's all I want to do. No, like it ain't that easy, man, because there's a million other kids out there that play receiver too now. But like what separates you from anything else? So like I think that the better that kid can grasp that and fully understand that like I can do multiple things and I can play the game, I guess, as well as anybody while I'm, doing other positions, like playing offense and defense in high school. If I'm just offense in college and I can play special teams, the better off you're going to be because you just show that you have that versatility and you have that, I guess, it factor that helps you, I guess, make an impact for that last level, which is the NFL, the professional league. So it's like that to me is like where kids have to like grow and like understand that it's more than just playing one spot.
yeah, and I think that's a huge ego pill to swallow to where when you go from high school to college and kids don't realize it until you actually get on campus, you're practicing doing stuff. The only thing that matters your freshman year, if you want a chance to play, is how do I get on the bus? How do I get on the travel
Right.
bus? That's all that matters. Do I have to hold? Do I have to be a place kicker and hold the punt? Am I holding?
Yeah.
Am I a gunner? So it's like you're finding so many ways just to get onto the field, and you kind of talked about it a little bit. And I wanted to talk about it, but I mean, there's not that many Devontae Adam-esque players where they're like, I don't have to play special teams because I'm Devontae Adams, So it's like
Yeah.
there's not a lot of guys that could just do that and just walk in and say, I play X and this is what I do. So like just to even get to that point, I know it's almost impossible to kind of construe in one answer, but
Yeah.
like what separated Devontae Adams, I mean, day-to-day work ethic from everyone else?
Well, you just said it right there. His day-to-day work ethic and his process into getting himself in the best position to be the best receiver in the game or ever. When I met him, man, like I was always in awe of just what I saw from him and his time at the Packers. Just his releases, his approach to the game in terms of like his route running, and how he got himself open, how to get himself open, understanding like, hey, this is what the coverage is going to be, and this is how I got to adjust my route according to that. When I got to coach him, you just see naturally that he gets it. He gets that, like when a corner's sitting hardened inside, how he's got to best attack him. Do I want to keep him where he's at, or do I got to bring him to me? And boy, I tell you, man, it's special to see that dude just run routes, because naturally it just comes to him. So it's like, how do I help him as a coach get better? And it was just little things of like defensive adjustments, leverages, and sort of things to get his eyes to process, looking at the coverage faster and understanding that when he sees these little cues or clues that, give him the answer to the test, boom. Right as the ball snapped, I know how to run my route because I saw the pre-snap look. You didn't have to help him much catching the football because that boy can catch, man. Like that thing was just natural. And the thing that always stood out to me about him was a lot of kids just don't understand the true ability to catch the football, and it's just seeing it in front of your eyes. Like your hands really have to be in front of your eyes, see that into your hands. And like with Devontae, that just came so naturally, and that ball is always out in front of his body, and he's catching that thing, he's plucking it and getting it onto him as fast as humanly possible. So like, man, it was always fun to go into work knowing that like you got the best receiver in the game in your room and you get to coach him. So it's like I told you, dude, like how myself do I get him better? Like, yeah, obviously you're walking through the playbook, the plays that are going in for the week, and like you either know it or you don't, and do you spend extra time with him to go on the field, do walkthroughs and that sort of thing to kind of make sure that he understands alignments, his assignment, and the execution of it to, like I just told you, like, here's my clue pre-snap. All right, now I can be ready for this. Boom, once the ball snapped, what's it look like post-snap? Did anything change, and how do I adjust my route based off of what I see? So just getting him to play that fast, because at the end of the day, like you play quarterback, you got 3 seconds or less to get rid of the football, and I got to make sure that my receivers are on the same page, or else I'm getting hit in the face. So the thing that stood apart, man, is just, I would say, his ability to comprehend the game really fast pre and post snap. Like he understood it, because his God gift, God blessed him, running really well, catching the football, being able to make plays in the air. A lot of things just come natural to him. So it's just, how do you find him to play faster, or that much faster, if he can understand certain things a little bit better than the defensive guys do.
Right. And obviously, Devontae's in rare air. He's probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest receiver of all time. Time will tell as he continues to set records and is getting better as he goes. Yep. But honestly, I feel like it's almost an opportunity to kind of applaud just sports in general. Because, truthfully, when I finished playing, like I said, I started training quarterbacks for a bit, and I was training some kids. There was a few of them that were like 10, 11, 12. Like the things they were doing with the football, I was like, dude, I would have never got recruited, because I was like, I was terrible when I was your age. Like the things you're doing, and some of these kids, it's unreal, right? Just how talented they are and what they do. And I think you reach a certain level. I used to think it was in college, but now I think it's starting to trickle down into high school, that you kind of reach a point where your talent, your God-given ability, your skills, your attributes, your physical talents, it's not really going to make a difference. You get to a certain point, and you just kind of touched on it right now. It's saying just your football comprehension. Like the best receivers I've been around, one of the best I played with was actually Keyshawn Johnson. He actually just won the Grey Cup championship up in CFL, but it wasn't so much, he was just such a smooth route runner. But what I respected the most about Keyshawn, and I've talked about this in other podcasts before, is that his ability of football comprehension and just overall football IQ, to where he was actually thinking about things like a quarterback would prior to the snap happening. And I felt like that was such just an exponential leap in his game, when we started watching film together, and he wasn't just like, oh, this is the play, I got to run a post. Like, no, he's like, oh, I got to run this. The guy's inside, outside leverage. The safety's kind of creeping down, rolling down. I should get the ball. Like, and he almost knew, like, hey, it's cover 3. I'm running a bang 8. Safety's rolling down in front of me. Why didn't you spin it past his head and get me the ball? And I was almost like, whoa, like, I can't even like argue with the dude, like he knows what he's talking about. So kind of talk about that. Like, you reach a certain point where your physical attributes need to catch up to maybe your mental aspect of the game.
No, I learned it from Coach Cut, and it really starts from the neck up to the neck down. Obviously, from the neck down, that's your God-gifted ability. And like you're saying, from the neck up, can I be able to process in less than 3 seconds, or really 5 seconds, like a normal play might happen? Can I be able to process in 5 seconds what my alignment, my assignment, my execution, and the finish of the play is going to be? Like that fast? And can I be able to see certain leverages, see certain rotations, see the base defense of alignment, and be able to process all of that and get the answer to the test right as the ball is snapped? So, like, obviously, it all starts with that. And yes, it comes from repetitions. Yes, it does. But like, it also, I think a lot goes into like the thing we touched on earlier is doing your homework. Like, am I actually studying enough film to see that, like, when the Sam linebacker to the tight end is wider, does that tell me something when he's not there and he's tucked in? Does it tell me when a corner is pressed up on me and he's playing outside leverage? Like, do certain little things like that give you a tell to see what the coverage or what the rotation is going to be? Like little subtle like things like that help you just, I don't know, get you to be able to execute your assignment just that much faster. So as long as you can study the game yourself and kind of ask the right questions if you don't know, if you have a coach that is like telling you certain things in a meeting room that you don't understand, are you like asking questions like, hey coach, why? Or can you tell me why? Hey coach, can you explain to me like what you mean by this? All those sort of things help you get to the point to be where, okay, once the ball is snapped, now I know why in that bang 8, like when that safety's just, sitting right there or he's creeping down, like I might get the ball. You know what I'm saying? Or if the corner is going to play hard and inside leverage, I need to run my route differently just because he's sitting in there. So like all those sort of things just kind of come into play. And at the end of the day, like you want to be able to play, right? So you got to be able to adjust, see certain things, and go out and execute. So it's just you got to be able to play from the neck up and the neck down and make sure those two are just working together at the same pace. So then when the ball snapped, boom, I know exactly what to do, and my God-gifted ability, will let it speak for itself, and I'll go make a play because of it.
Yeah, no, and I mean, kind of while on the topic of the Raiders, so once I finished at Fresno State, obviously I went to Oregon State, Fresno State. I did mini camp with the Raiders and the Saints, so I spent a little bit of time there. And kind of on the topic of the Raiders, I remember getting there, and you're kind of in all, that was my first one before I went to the Saints, and you're at rookie mini camp, and there's all these undrafted guys, drafted guys, and I actually got there with Josh Jacobs was there, Renfro and Keenan Farrell, and all those guys were there, right? So we're in the locker room, we're all getting ready for practice, and Keenan Farrell walks by, and I look at him, and I'm like, that's why you were a first-round draft pick. Like, the dude is this massive human being. Like, you're huge, right? Huge guy.
Yeah.
Same things. Josh Jacobs walks by. His legs are literally both my legs together. It's one singular leg of his, just like tree trunks for legs, like a massive human being. And I'm like, okay, that's why you're an NFL draftee. Like, I get it. And then Hunter Renfrow walks by, and I kind of look at him, and I'm like, you just look like an average dude that you would see at Walmart. And I've watched him through his whole college career. He's cooking dudes, man. Like, he's like so good, right? So much respect for Hunter and what he does. And obviously Derek has a relationship with them, and just like what he does on the football field. I mean, he's the neck up kind of guy that you're talking about. I mean, it's unreal what he's able to do on the field. But I mean, kind of talk about, I mean, you could kind of include Hunter in there, but there
Yeah.
is a sense in the college process that kind of passing the eye test, so to speak. I mean, just kind of talk to that in that situation, like Hunter situation. Like, how often are players misjudged because they don't look the part?
No, that is true, man. Like, obviously, everyone, when you play the game of football or you're evaling someone, like, does he pass the eye test? And you look at him, and yeah, do we all get into the typical, oh, that dude looks freaking freaky, or oh, like, dang, that's what he really looks at. But like when you turn on the tape, like, what does the tape say? And then when you see him live, it's like, damn, like, yeah, I see why that marries up. Or it's like in the case of Hunter, yeah, when you go look at him, and everyone's always been like that with Hunter, you're like, that's really Hunter Renfro? But like when that boy puts on his helmet and he's in between the lines, good luck guarding him. Because like that dude, one, knows how to run routes. He knows how to attack the defense. And honestly, like when he's out there, he's freaking shiftier than you think. And like he's got some suddenness. He can cover ground and can run. And then you get the other guy like Darren Waller that we had that's like, yeah, buddy, like I get why you are a freak. Like I get why you are one of the best tight ends. Like I get it. And it's like the same thing that you could throw in the same category with Hunter, Brock Bowers. Well, when I tell you this, when Brock comes walking through, yeah, he's built, but like at the same time, you're like, this dude's really the best tight end in the league. Like when you look at him, like sometimes he's got his hair like all like kind of looking like he's balding in a way. I don't know. He's got that like same kind of look that Hunter does. But like when that dude, same thing, when he puts on his helmet and he's in between those lines, that dude is different. And you can really see why. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is at the end of the day, like ball is ball. And it doesn't really matter what you look like. It doesn't matter where you came from, anything like that. It's just when you're in between those lines, can you displace the lineman from the line of scrimmage? Can you create separation? Can you run? Can you break tackles? Like at the end of the day, what does your tape say? At the end of the day, like how productive are you? So I think a lot of that stuff, man, is just nobody really cares like what you look like. It's just at the end of the day, like we all understand it. It's a production-based business, and it is what it is type of thing. Like, can you make a play more than the guy across from you? And that to me just stands out more. Like when you turn on the tape and I see a certain guy making plays left and right, I'm like, yeah, this dude, like, he makes plays, like point blank. Like it's that simple. And yeah, he might pass the eyeball test. He might not. But like at the end of the day, like I see his tape and he's productive as heck. And that's like at the end of the day, like that's all that matters, man. And yeah, I'm gonna go through and do my homework on you in terms of like who you are as a person, and everything that comes along with it. But I mean, it gets no easier than like, hey, I make more plays than the person lined up across from me, and doesn't matter what you look like.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's funny. I used to have my own kind of little theory when I was going through my recruiting process, and it was kind of half-heartedly true, half-heartedly a joke, but like it used to fire me up at camps and stuff. I used to say like, hey, if I'm showing up to a camp and a kid 6'4", 225, how's their stars and rankings? I used to say he has to prove he's not good to not get recruited. Whereas a kid who's 6', 170, me dripping wet in high school, like you have to actually prove you're good to get recruited. To where it's like the eye test does play a factor, but kind of like you said, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, ball's ball, and either you could throw a football or you could catch a football, or you could play your position or you can't. So it does
Yeah.
play, but I mean, I think it's always going to be about development over exposure. Because I know I was talking on a prior podcast, and one of the coaches said that a lot of times you're getting recruited based off of your ceiling, not necessarily where you're at right now, but what does your
Yeah.
projectability look like? Like, where can you actually end up when you're 2 or 3 years in a college program with the right nutrition, with the right lifting,
Yep.
with the right coaching. And like, what is one thing though that a high school athlete can actually control right now, today, as soon as they're listening to this podcast?
Ooh, one thing. Boy, that's a tough one, man. I honestly think you just said it right there, man. It's like, I think it's just gosh dang, that's a tough question. Yeah, that's a good one, bro.
Yeah, you could throw a couple out too. Like, what are a couple things, like what could they actually do? Because I feel like just overall, even me, I'm talking to coaches on a daily basis, weekly basis, and a lot of them are general terms, but like, what's like actionable steps that a kid could actually do that could improve his ability to, like, hey, how do I get the attention of Mitch? I play tight end. How do I actually grab his attention while I'm at a camp, outside of maybe just obviously my raw ability? Obviously, that's always going to get you in the door. You have to be a certain level. And this is, people, you could believe it or not believe it, you have to be a certain level of talent to play Division I football. Like, at just
No,
point
for
blank
sure.
period, right? To where
Yep.
you can develop, you can transfer, you can go to junior college and do things, but there is kind of a certain threshold you kind of have to be at to play. Like, no matter how bad I wanted to be a slot receiver, I'm not built to be a slot receiver. Like,
No doubt.
I could have
No
all the
doubt.
heart in the world. I'm not Victor Bolden, and I will never be Victor Bolden, which you know who Vic is.
So that boy can run.
Exactly. I'm not Victor Bolden. I'm not, so just kind of stuff like that. But what are some like actionable things that, hey, I'm a tight end or I play on offense, because you do recruit, I'd imagine, multiple positions. You're not just in your
Yeah.
specific. Like, what are a few things that I could do to actually help myself get to the next level?
I think it's just the willingness to, like we said, swallow your ego and just be able to do more than just play one position. I was a 4-sport athlete in high school, and it helped me improve my play at receiver. I also played free safety. So, like, to me, it's just, and I did the punt return and kick return. So it's like, do you have enough in you to be, hey, what can I do to help win for the team, and at the same time help improve myself, get better as an athlete, if that makes sense. I just, like, I guess I've never liked just guys just being a one-sport athlete. I want you to compete in other things. I want you to, like, do certain things that kind of, I don't know, help improve your game. Like, that's like one thing I kind of, like, at least I'm passionate about, is just, like, you have to be willing to do more than just, what you're really, really, truly desired to do. So that's something that, like, I've always believed, and my dad's kind of, like, instilled in me. But yeah, like, I've always, like, I guess I always wanted to be, Marcus Wheaton. Like, I wish I could run, but I couldn't. Like, I was a 4.7 guy. Like, I had to find other ways to get open, and that was just me understanding, my limitations, for one, as an athlete, but two, I knew I can do certain things differently because I knew how to read a defense. I knew how to run routes based off of coverage. I know when to make the right adjustments and those sort of things. So I took pride in trying to fully understand the concept, and then I try to take pride in being able to know the concepts. So if a coach needs me to go play X, Z, or in the slot, I can do it. And he can trust me enough to go do that. Yeah. Do I have certain limitations at a certain spot? Of course. But at the end of the day, like, I know what to do. I know how to make my adjustment, and I can go make plays. So I think a lot of that just has to be within yourself to be like, okay, how do I separate myself in terms of everyone else, so a coach can play me more than him.
Yeah. No, and I think that's something I haven't put much thought to until you actually said it right now, is that a lot of the best receiving core guys I've been around, they would everyone looks at the final stat, whatever. They had 8 catches for 110 yards, good game, blah 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 blah. But now that you actually bring that up, a lot of the times, like Keyshawn would be he was our Z or X or Y or H, like, or T, like they would move him to different spots depending on who the main
Yeah,
read was in that play, which I never really put much thought to until right now, is that he had the overall concept of the offense and not just his position, that it made him
yeah,
extremely valuable to our offense because we could kind of move him wherever we needed him. And just using that as almost like a transition a little bit to where I know we're both, I mean, happily married, have kids, and your son Easton, he's 3, so he's got some time
yeah,
until he becomes um, in the recruiting process himself, if he chooses kind of that route for himself. But I mean, just for a parent, I mean, if they're going into their freshman, sophomore year, underclassmen, kind of in high school,
yeah,
like what does like the exact balance look like? And I know this is an impossible question to answer, but just kind of
yeah.
overall speaking, like can chasing exposure actually hurt development? Because you could be at a camp every single weekend in the summer. Like I know you could be
Yeah,
at
no doubt.
multiple, you could be at 4 or 5 camps a week every summer. So what's kind of that balance look like to where like, okay, I'm developing? Because I've almost, if you take the extreme approach, I'm like, man, you could honestly not go to any camps your freshman year, your sophomore year, and just develop and then go your junior. And they're like, whoa, like who is this kid? You know, because first
For sure,
impressions do mean something. So
for
kind of
sure.
talk about the balance a little bit. Like if you're talking directly to a high school athlete, high school parent, what does that balance between chasing exposure and chasing development look like?
Um, I guess I might be more unique than other coaches out there because I lived the extreme. I wanted to go and compete and go to different camps almost every weekend because I wanted to go prove to whoever I was going up against that I want to be better than the other guy that I know that's going to that camp. Or I want to go and prove to the coach why they should recruit me. Now, that's my life. And when I was a freshman and sophomore, like every single weekend of my high school career, I was doing something. I was in the summer playing baseball tournaments. I was at football camps if I wasn't, or I was getting ready for track events. And then sometimes you got to sprinkle in a freaking AAU basketball tournament. So like I lived the extreme. So like I was doing something, and God bless my parents because they took me everywhere, and did everything for me, and they were always there for me. So like when people want to ask me that sort of question, um, I just tell them honestly, like, go chase your dream. Like to me, at the end of the day, you want to go play college football. Well, do whatever it is you want to do to go make it happen. And if it was my kid and he wants to go do that on a weekly basis, I'm there for you, buddy. I'm gonna do whatever I can to take you to where you want to go, and I'm gonna help you get to where you want to go. So, is there a balance? I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, I think other factors come into play in terms of making ends meet and being able to provide it. But like, if there's a chance, or if there's a way to help my kid to succeed in what he wants to accomplish, I'm willing to do whatever it is to get him to where he wants to go. And if that's like doing it on an every other week basis, cool. Like it is what it is. Like you're not going to miss out on a pure opportunity because maybe the next one, like, yeah, you get a good opportunity at that place, and maybe the word spreads out that like, hey, this kid balled out at this camp. Like, he did really good. And then you have people questioning, like, dang, like, I need to go get my eyes on him. Like, the word of mouth in the sporting world goes around pretty quick. But, yeah, like, to me, it's just, I think I lived it. So that's all I know. And I know it's a lot different for a lot of people out there, but it's, to me, it's just whatever you're willing to do, or you can make it work for your kid. And I hate to like say that, but you are right. Like, if you only have one shot and one opportunity to go make it happen, well, I got to make sure it's the right place. And what is that right place? Well, I know I've always wanted to go to Fresno State my whole life. And if that's my one shot is to go down there in the summer at their prospect camp, then boy, I'm going to make it work. If I have the opportunity to go make it work as many times as I can, then like there's no harm in going there multiple times. Like, I think a normal college coach will recognize that Mitch Singler is here every single week. But for me, I had the mindset of I love competing. Like, I want to go play football as much as I can. And I'm going to go do whatever I can to go show that I'm better than, the guy next to me. So I don't know if that really answered it, but I don't know if there is a balance. I think it's just whatever we can do to help provide to our kids. Like, I'm trying to make it work. And if that's like a way to like a high school coach that can help out, and maybe someone else within like your high school program that can help provide those sort of things, then sometimes it is what it is. Like, just don't be afraid to ask if you can't make it happen. But at the same time, I think you and I, like, we have kids, we're going to do everything we can to give the best to our kids. So I just, like, it's the same thing. It's ego driven. Like, can I swallow my pride and be like, hey, I really need help. Like, I need to send Marcus to my camp. Can you help us? But is there a balance? I don't know. I think that's really up to you, and all that sort of stuff. But all 4 years of my high school career, I can tell you that I probably didn't really have a summer weekend off. I just wanted to do something. And I know that, like, doing something was going to be involved in football, AAU tournaments, baseball, track, or doing something. It didn't really matter. I just wanted to go compete.
Yeah, and I think there's tells, throughout this whole podcast too, about how to kind of you answer that question multiple ways. And prior to, where it's like, you could almost get caught in the paralysis by analysis if you're too freaked out. Like, I'm not ready, I can't go, like, I can't prepare, like, I want to compete. But kind of like you said, I vividly remember going to Fresno State camp every single year since my freshman year, and Pat Hill was there. And then you could kind of, like you said, you could talk to the coaches after, and most of them are going to be very brutally and bluntly honest, and tell you, like, hey, you're a really good player, but you could develop X, Y, Z. And guess what? Then you take X, Y, Z, you go get better at it, and then you come back next year and they're like, hey, you actually improved this. And they want to kind of see the improvement too. So that is a good thing. And I almost kind of backpedal on the question a bit about balance, because I think it's almost like a trap word in a sense, to where it's like, I think back to my situation to where I married my wife. We dated in high school. My senior year, I was gone every single summer. I was in Los Angeles. I played on a 7-on-7 team called B2G, and every single weekend, she knew Friday after school, I was driving to LA and I was going to go play at a 7-on-7 tournament, or I was going to be at a camp, or I was going to be doing something. But it's like, looking back on it, someone who doesn't have the goals and aspirations to play Division I would probably think you're crazy. Why are you doing that? But it wasn't crazy, because that's what I wanted to do. And my parents knew that's what I wanted to do. So they fully supported me and backed me. And that was awesome. And I'm always going to be indebted to my parents for that. And kind of just like the last question that I'd kind of want to ask you is, like, if a parent or athlete, only listens to like this final minute, there's tons of great value and information in this whole podcast, but if they just listen to this final minute of the podcast, like, what should they stop doing immediately, and what should they start doing today?
I would say the first thing is stop being a helicopter parent. And I say that because I think a lot of the time parents just get in the way of a kid's development. Do we want the best for our kid? 100%. but also at the same time, like the way I learned and how to improve myself was I had my dad stop like doing what he did. And yeah, he was my high school coach and did all this sort of stuff, but he let me grow up as a man and figure out like why I'm not getting open, why I'm not like getting recruited. You know what I'm saying? And I thought that to me made me grow up fast. Like, stop doing that sort of stuff and just let the kids learn. Like, at the end of the day, if I'm a parent, yes, 100%. I love my kid. I want him to do everything humanly possible to get to where he wants to go. But at the same time, we gotta let them grow up too, and we gotta like let their hand go from holding ours. And I know it's probably the hardest thing in the world, and it's probably going to be the toughest thing for me. But I know right now my son's only 3, but at the same time, I'm letting him learn his own mechanics, learning his own mistakes, and just certain things like that, to where like he now recognizes why it's wrong. And so like little things like that, I think kind of go a long way in a kid's growth and development. In my opinion, it's just like we gave him the foundation. Now let's see what he can do with it. And obviously, if there's like little road steps in the way or like little bumps in the road, like, hey, dude, like this is why you messed up, and just be willing to help out when those things come up, and when they're obviously they're old enough, but can they come talk to you about like certain things that kind of come up that be like, see, here's a good growing opportunity right here that we can kind of teach you why it's not working, why it's bad, and little things like that. I think that to me is like the first thing that came to my mind. Is just being able to let our kids grow, and I know there's going to be mistakes and all that sort of stuff, and hopefully they don't lead to really life like altering ones, but hopefully there are enough, or there's opportunities to where you can overcome them and be able to help your kid out on those sort of things.
Yeah, and I would kind of finalize, kind of wrapping that up, that it's probably got to be the hardest thing as a parent, coach, mentor, kind of overseeing a kid, and the last thing you want him to do is struggle. It's where you have the intentions are good, the intentions are pure. Even like a quick like funny story, like in high school, to wrap up, I remember in 7-on-7, my high school coach, I'd be dropping back, and whatever, say it's a basic play, the post, dig, drag with like a check down. I'd be dropping back and he'd be at the top of my drop as soon as I hit my back foot, and he'd be like, post. And I'd throw the post and it'd be wide open. And the next time we do it again, we're dropping back and he'd be like, dig. And I'd throw the dig and it'd be wide open. But then finally, like the third time I turned around, I said, I see it. Stop telling me where to throw the ball, to where it's like his intentions were pure. He was just trying to help me through the progression. But I literally turned around and told him, I said, stop telling me where to throw the ball. I see it. I know it's open, to where it's like, I think that's the perfect example of he's just trying to help you, trying to help me develop. And I literally, as an athlete, had to turn around and be like, I see it. I know where to go. I appreciate your input, but you're not going to be on the field with me. It's just Marcus out there by himself making a play. I think that's where you have to kind of take the step back to where I've always related it to basketball. I love playing basketball growing up. It's like, hey, I remember having a coach tell me like, hey, when the game's on the line, you're shooting free throws, it's Marcus at the free throw line. So nobody's there to help you. All your coaches, your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, like either you put in the work shooting your free throws and you're going to make that free throw,
No doubt.
or you're not, So I think that's kind of the best kind of way I could kind of summarize. And I thought it was a funny way to kind of wrap up, to where I remember him telling me that. I remember just stopping on the third time. It was in the same game. And I said, stop telling me where to throw the ball.
Dude, I got this, man. Like you taught me it.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I got to be able to see the game like you do.
Yeah.
Like point blank or period. And if not, like at the end of the day, like you got to get better, or I got to find someone else to play.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. No, at the end of the day, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And Mitch, I mean, I appreciate you, bro. I mean, just for the honesty, I mean, the perspective, and I mean, just everything you've shared. I know this is something that people are going to have to listen to over and over. And obviously, what you're doing at UNLV and just the work and just sharing a little bit of time in the midst of the chaos of the transfer portal right now. I can't thank you
Oh,
enough
yeah.
for taking some time right now. So I appreciate you, brother. And anything else you kind of want to close off with?
Man, no, man. I love that we get to talk about sports, and I love that we get to share our experiences, share these, fun moments of our lives, and love to do this again. I just love talking ball, love just being able to help people. I've always been about, relationships and winning games. If that, the feeling that we get after a win and you're in that locker room and we're damn celebrating, jumping, all that sort of stuff, because winning is hard, like in any sport. But like when you get in that locker room and you're celebrating, man, like if that was a drug and that feeling that we get, that adrenaline rush, I'm all for it. Like you give me as much medicine of that as you can, and boy, I tell you what, that'd be a great feeling to have, every single day. But like, the part of like the game and why we love it is just the process of it all, man. It's so fun, the relationships that come from it, and all that goes into it. Like there's honestly like no better feeling in terms of like seeing our players succeed. Ultimately, like getting back into college, like once I could see Marcus like complete his football career and then he walks down that stage and gets his degree, man, like I tell like all the kids that like I've come across and coached, they just say thank you. And like for me as a coach and as a person, there's no better feeling than that, man. Like I know I have kids and I got an awesome wife, but man, that's right up there with it, man. It's just it's a special game we play, and there's a lot of things that come with it. And boy, I tell you what, man, if we can talk about like everything that comes with the game of football and why people should do it, I'm all for it, man. And as much as we can and do this podcast, I want to do more of it, man. I love talking just about the game. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely have you back for a second round. And just in closing, too, I mean, you talk about that. I've been on losing teams in college and I've been on winning teams in college. And I will choose winning team in college every day of the week. So definitely, I mean, fall in love with the process. I mean, it's super important and just kind of get better. And I mean, if this episode helped you, I mean, share it with the coach, parent, athlete who needs clarity. Until next time, this is Athlete Country Club. Appreciate you guys. Thanks.